Hi, I'm Melissa Idris and you're watching The Future is Female, the show where we find the extraordinary in every woman. Now, I'm here in the office of the Member of Parliament for Petaling Jaya, YB Maria Chin Abdullah is on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're also the former Bersih 2.0 chairman. So I really do want to get a sense of your past year because it's been quite a ride, hasn't it? I mean, you went from being an activist, really championing for free and fair elections, and then you decided to stand for GE14 and you won this seat with a whopping 57,000 majority. So let's talk a little bit about what the last year has been for you, YB. How has that transition been for you from going from activist to politician?
Oh, it has been like a roller coaster because seriously, I didn't and neither did Pakatan Harapan expected a win, and to not just win but to form the government. So from in my mindset was that I would be winning as an opposition. To change that to, well, we are part of the government.
Right.
I guess that, it's a good thing. I still believe it's a good thing that we actually managed to change the government. The people managed to change the government because they came out in numbers to actually vote the previous government out. And it's now an interesting challenge for me to actually put words into action.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
now you have the means to do
right.
it. Right.
Yeah. Because whatever we say, whatever principles that we want the previous government to hold on to, and how they actually take action on it, we now have the responsibility to make it happen.
Right.
And so therefore, it means looking at what we have said. Particularly, we are held to the
the letter of the words that you said in the
Yes.
manifesto, which I think really is a wonderful development in our democracy. You know, we've got a more vigilant population now, right? Which is great.
Yes. Yeah.
But how did it work for you?
The work has been very challenging, but I have told everyone that it's interesting.
Was it all that you expected it to be? I mean,
Not
coming
really.
from the outside, right now that you're on the inside,
Right.
what was the biggest kind of surprise for you to kind of culture shock, if I may use those terms?
Yeah, it's not so much the cultural shock, but actually it was like a wave of happiness that actually we did it.
All right.
Yeah.
So really optimistic, right?
Because we never dreamed that, after 60 over years that we can actually change the government. If you ask me in 1980s when I came back to Malaysia, I would have told you, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that finding my feet on the ground with the constituency was also another big eye-opener for me, because everyone thinks that Petaling Jaya is doing fine.
Well, it's an urban seat, isn't it? It's an urban parliamentary seat. And the challenges may be different, say, to another type of composition, demographic composition.
Yes, that's true. But in Petaling Jaya, somehow or other, we do have an urban slum that is not taken care of.
Urban slum.
For the past, you can actually say, for the past 30 to 40 years. Because this happened in Taman Medan, where initially in the 1970s, they were actually squatters, and now with urban renewal and development, low-rise flats have been built. Right. But unfortunately, the community spirit and the community needs have not been taken care of. And over the years, these needs were actually neglected. Okay. So when you actually enter into places like Taman Medan, which includes BAHARU, it's also spread over to Sri Setia in Lembah Subang.
Okay.
Where you
have... it's spreading, you say? Okay.
It's spreading is because of the way we have done urban development, or not done urban development. Because if you compare to other countries with low-rise, low-cost flats, they have thought about the community, the padang. They've thought about places where people can actually lepak.
Right.
They have thought
public
about
common spaces.
Common
right?
spaces
Yes.
for young people, old people, for mothers and children, and so forth. We haven't thought about that. So in Taman Medan, there's hardly any space for you to play football. There's hardly any space for OKU to hang out. We have stories where some of them have been stuck in their house for many years, and they can't come out because their children goes out to work and there's nobody to help them.
Right.
And it's and that is the story of what we are seeing, the
urban slum.
People in an urban city like Petaling Jaya, where sectors of it have actually dropped out from the urban development and neglected. And to actually redo, I don't think we can actually redo. We can only patch up to some extent.
Right, so in this past year, what has been the focus? So given those challenges of an urban parliamentary seat, what areas have you decided to focus on? Which areas do you think you can make a difference?
Well, in my parliament and together with the State Assembly, we have actually looked at housing. Very key, because housing is also related to the healthcare services.
What about housing specifically?
Housing is actually the total neglect of the maintenance. Maintenance of the housing that I'm talking about is really the low-cost flats. We have plenty of that in Petaling Jaya. It's about the lifts, cleanliness. It's about the water pump.
Sometimes there's no pressure, water
maintenance,
pressure.
and so forth. But it therefore, if you look at housing, if you have a bad housing area, it also affects the health. So if cleanliness is not taken care of, you have various kind of diseases. You have dengue.
Okay.
And Petaling Jaya is actually we have a number of hotspots
for dengue. Okay. So it's very tight, closely tied to health and healthcare,
yes.
right?
Okay.
We're going to continue our conversation with YB Maria Chin after this. Stay with us right here on The Future is Female. Welcome back to The Future is Female. Here on the show with me is YB Maria Chin Abdullah. She is the Member of Parliament for Petaling Jaya and former Bersih 2.0 chairman. Alright, if we could zoom out, YB, and have a look at the Pakatan Harapan government in Putrajaya 1 year on. What's your honest assessment of the performance so far?
I feel that the Pakatan Harapan government has actually done not too bad, to be honest.
Not too bad in what respect?
One is the institutional reforms. When we came in the first year, there was a change in terms of the Attorney General, and it's actually putting good people in very targeted agencies, so that it will help to bring about that institutional reform. The Attorney General, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission,
Latifah Koya recently.
Latifah Koya recently, definitely. Then there's the formation of the GIAC, also another anti-corruption body under the government, to really show that the government is really serious about tackling corruption. So that it doesn't happen, or at least at a reduced rate. The other one is really the police. We have brought in a very feisty IGP who is saying the right thing for me. And particularly he is also focusing on the in bringing back IPCMC. It's actually a body to ensure that we look at how the code of ethics.
It's like an oversight body for the police.
Okay. Body. The code of ethics for the police, and also looking at the welfare of the police. We mustn't forget that actually it's not just about that all police are bad, but you know, we take actions against those who actually gets out of hand.
The bad apples,
the bad apples, and also to look at the overall welfare of the police, because it's about pay, it's about their housing. Seriously, their housing is
it seems
just
to boil
like
down to
housing. Yeah, and also about their general economic, social well-being.
Right. Yeah.
So that is very important to me, to actually set the tone that, you know, we are looking at all these issues that we have promised the right yet to look into. There are many issues, yeah, but this was anti-corruption, and also looking at the police, and also looking at Parliament.
Right.
We had
reform
quite a bit
of Parliament.
Reform at the Parliament.
Speaking of Parliament, what do you make of the discourse in Parliament? So now that you are an MP, you are a member of Parliament, what do you make of the level or quality of discourse in Parliament?
To start off with, I wish more women are in Parliament.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
We don't have enough, right?
Yeah, we don't have enough. We just hit just above 10%, but we have always been at 10%, about 20 odd parliamentarians. This time we have more, but we can do with more. Yeah, because it's about raising women's issues at Parliament.
Yeah. Well, you know, so part of that was an election promise, wasn't it? It was a pre-election promise by Pakatan Harapan to ensure that at least 30% of women are in decision-making positions, starting with the cabinet. And this reminds me of what you just mentioned a bit earlier, that, you know, Pakatan Harapan is being held to every word of their manifesto by a very vigilant populace. What do you think about the messaging? For me, I mean, your assessment of Pakatan Harapan's performance has been not bad, but what do you make of the messaging coming out of Putrajaya about all the things that they've been doing this past year?
I do hear some of the reservations and also the comments about messaging. I agree. We definitely need to work a lot more on the messaging, but the work done is not so well publicized. And it needs to be told and shared to everyone, so that people know that, you know, things are moving and it's not like stagnant, or like that it has not. It's still in 60 years ago.
Right.
So the other thing is that really, if you look at the economy, generally, globally, it's not doing very well.
Right.
So definitely a country like Malaysia will be affected. But the ministries have actually tried. Yeah, so therefore, particularly one is to help those who are struggling to overcome some this present economic situation. So they have introduced various schemes. Yeah, including Bantuan Sara Hidup, an insurance scheme that never have ever been introduced in Malaysia.
Salam, right? Yes.
Yeah, My Salam.
My Salam, excuse me, yes, My Salam.
And then they have also looked at the e-Kasih, that means looking at your personal electricity bills and see how it can actually reduce it.
So there are a number of initiatives, especially targeted to those who really need the help. Yeah. So where do you reckon they're on the right track, but it's really about communicating those initiatives of the hard work back to the people who elected them in?
I guess initially when these schemes were actually introduced in September, October, when it came out in the budget, nobody know very much about it, but after like 6-7 months down the line, people are coming to my office and asking for all this.
Okay,
so there is slowly a growing awareness, but I wish it had been very faster.
Yeah. And you know, so I'm just wondering, because during the 1-year anniversary of Malaysia BAHARU, so to speak, on May 9th, a couple months ago, you know, there was a lot of talk about the checklist or report card when it comes to Pakatan Harapan's performance. Do you think that this honeymoon period of, you know, what we saw after May 9th last year, do you think it's over? Do you think the goodwill that people had for Putrajaya as a new government, had for Pakatan Harapan as a new government in Putrajaya, that goodwill has sort of I guess, waned?
I guess the expectation has been very high. Yeah. Plus, the very fact that we had a manifesto to go by, people are definitely holding us against the manifesto. But it's now a matter of how we want to recover ourselves economically and make sure that, you know, the people who really need that economic assistance get the assistance that they want. And it's actually affecting a lot of the poor people, particularly in the B40. So the programs have to actually work, but I believe that the schemes offered will eventually kick off, but the impact will only be felt much later. It's not like immediately.
Yeah, and I think people often want the instant gratification.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to continue this conversation. Stay with us right here on The Future is Female. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Melissa Idris with YB Maria Chin, the Member of Parliament for Petaling Jaya. Now, you've been an activist for many years, so many people know you from your work with Bersih 2.0, fighting for free and fair elections. But what I think they may not have realized is that you're also very passionate in advocating for gender equality and advancing women's rights for many decades now, right? You were involved with the Joint Group for Gender Equality, so
yes.
JAG. You were also involved in the Domestic Violence Act, so in lobbying for that law, that bill to become law. So I would like to know, you know, have your activist hat on. How do you think the Pakatan Harapan government has done in this past year in terms of a gender responsive agenda?
Gender responsive agenda is definitely in the pipeline. It's just that no laws have yet been introduced in Parliament yet. I'm hoping that, you know, by the end of this year, at least the Sexual Harassment Act gets put forward, even if it's for a discussion or first reading. We are also looking at the Gender Equality Act, but that will take a much longer time, hopefully in a year or 2 years later.
But is there political will in Putrajaya for this?
I believe there's a political will, and both the Minister and Deputy Minister are very committed to gender equality, definitely. But I'm also hoping that, you know, they will also look at the numbers of women in political participation, party, as well as, you know, running up to the next election. I'm really hoping that I will see more women candidates and getting more women winning and into the parliament.
Yeah, you know, because it's funny, if you want to achieve that quota of that 30%, promise of 30% women in cabinet, you have to make sure that you have more women elected, more women running, more women elected. So political parties have a real role to play. Because, you know, the Prime Minister cannot look at a pool of, you know, how many women and say, I'm going to elect 30% women if he doesn't have a pool to choose from.
Right. And I don't think that there's no women. Not enough women to run. There are plenty of them, and you can see that in the last election, we are getting younger candidates.
But why is it not enough, YB? Why are we not attracting more women? Is politics a boys' club?
No, I mean we do have enough women.
Oh, we do have enough.
We do have
politics.
Definitely.
Being fielded as candidates?
Not yet. So it's not like there's a shortage of women who wants to get involved. There are plenty of women who wants to get involved and be selected as candidates. But it's really the political will of the political parties. And that needs to be worked on.
So you were formerly the executive director of Empower, right? Persatuan Kesedaran Komuniti Selangor. And in that role, you really worked with marginalized communities, low-income women, indigenous communities. I want to talk about what can be done to help some of these communities. I mean, we're talking about B40 women specifically, you know, trans women who have been marginalized, and all that. What do you think needs to be done in that respect? What more can be done?
I guess that for the women, it's really, one is the economic empowerment. Yeah, that means getting jobs, whether it's part-time or full-time. Women do need jobs, yeah, in order for them to take care of their kids and also for putting food on the table.
Right.
They need jobs. And that is also an economic independence for them. That's very important, to feel secure and that they are able to move on with their life and determine and decide what they want to do. The other one is really about decision making. Yeah, that needs a big mindset change, that women can actually have a say in the family.
Mindset change,
yeah,
right? Yes.
Yeah. Don't be surprised that even urban families still have that idea that, you know, women don't need to participate very much in decision making, and it's all left to the male. So in Empower, we do a lot of this discussion, so that we can bring awareness not just to the women. We also included the men.
Yes, to start the conversation.
Yes, yeah, otherwise the women would go back and start getting very excited, and the men is no.
So you need the participation of everyone.
So we included both sides, so that there's an understanding that it's not a man versus woman or the other way around, or that is a confrontational thing, but it's a sharing.
In the last few minutes that we have left, I do want to get your thoughts as the former chairman of Bersih 2.0. You talked a little bit about the institutional reforms that you are pleased with in the past 1 year or so. What do you make of the reforms in the electoral space? Are you happy with where it's gone? We have Harun as the EC election commissioner right now. Is the pace of reforms going fast enough for you?
I guess he's working very hard, and so is his team, and he has a good team now. Electoral reform will take time, particularly if you take the big one, yeah, the redelineation, which was done so badly by the previous government. It will take us another 8 years in order for us to correct it.
Because it can only happen once every 8 years.
Every 8 years, yeah. So that is the big one. The other one is really about our electoral system. Do we want to still continue with first past the post, or we want to have a different system?
Oh, those are big questions.
Yeah, because in other countries, different system like a mixed proportional representation brings in women's participation. So these are conversations that we haven't actually reached, but like basic things like cleaning up the electoral roll and all that, I believe the EC chief is actually doing that, because we had a consultation on that.
Okay.
So it's going, hopefully by the next election, we will have a much better and cleaner electoral roll and a much more efficient way of doing our elections. So those are there. But there's also other institutional reform that needs to happen. Like for example, we still have preventive detention laws.
Okay.
Yeah. The very SOSMA. We also have the prevention against terrorism and all that. All these laws actually allow for, actually denies a person to have a trial when they are under detention, nor does it give you access to your family or to your lawyer. So things like this are still happening and existing in our laws, and these have to be taken out.
So these archaic laws should be removed out. Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. It's been such a pleasure. You've been watching The Future is Female. I'm Melissa Idris, and I'm going to be back with you same time next week, right here on Astro AWANI. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.